Today's video is a full garden tour in July here in my Chicagoland garden, and I am excited to show you all the changes that happened since the June tour. On my potting bench to the left, I've got succession plantings, and there's beans and beets and onions and just all kinds of things. But first, I need to get some things out and I need to show you my garden. Let's get going. So in this bed, we have the $106 squash cage. If you've followed me at all on Instagram, you'll know all about it. But this is what I have to do to get summer squash because the squirrels just go nuts for it. This is surrounded by pots of peppers, which are all doing marvelously. If you want to see close-ups about all the peppers and tomatoes I'm doing, my last video outlines that. This is a brassica cage, and I have some new cabbage coming here on the right, and then some kale on the left. This is all melons. I've got three kinds: Kajari, Sugar Baby, and Cajo. Up the big trellis are Greek Giganti beans, and they are doing great, and they're just so beautiful when they bloom. Since the last video about peppers and tomatoes, we have learned that this plant that was marked Corono de Toro at the nursery is not in fact a Corono de Toro. It is some type of hot pepper. Anybody have any ideas? Leave it in the comments, please. Yep, that's what it was labeled. Well, this is our cage of thornless blackberries, and they have started to ripen. Al is holding the precious cargo, the first harvest of blackberries for 2024, and they are delicious because there's quite a few that didn't make it to the bowl. So as I come around on this bed, you can see the rosemary I did from seed is really coming to its own now. The snapdragons are in a down cycle, they'll be back. The mums and the lilac. These are Walla Walla onions, and they are nice size. A couple of those are baseball size. On the other side are some red ruby, and they are starting to size up really, really nice now. Very pleased with that. And here are those Dr. Whitey yellows, and they are just huge and gorgeous and huge and gorgeous. I did some thinning out today for airflow. We've had so much rain. I am so worried about the fungal issues. Now I know that the powdery mildew has started, but you can really see how much fruit is on this atomic fusion now, and they are just a really amazing looking tomato, just like the Brad's Atomic, which I have grown before. And I think there's a little bit of blushing happening on here. These have a longer hang time on the vine than Brad's do. That's the Santium Sunrise. Not too many on here, but we have some. There is the Ford Hook chard in there. You need to eat some of that. Those Borlato beans are just a wall now of deliciousness coming. I do have a second round planted that I need to get into the ground shortly, but I am so pleased with those. That is loaded. This is very interesting down at this end. It's very nicely shaded from the afternoon sun back here, but this is where I had arugula and mustard that I let go to seed to save for the Door County Seed Library. So you can see that in between these bean plants that I planted, I've got arugula and a little mustard growing, but it is delicious. So we have let it grow. The beans are doing just fine growing up with that in between, and we get an extra little volunteer harvest. These are bunching onions that I am saving for the seed library, and there's the leeks that were so pretty earlier when they first bloomed, but now they are forming up really nicely and we'll have seed soon. And that is a tango celery. First time I'll be saving celery seed. And we've got leeks and my very hero favorite onion. This is the Patterson, but now the largest one has fallen over there. So it won't be long before we can harvest these out and get them drying. They lasted for months. I was so pleased. You can see I got better airflow going at the bottom of those tomatoes. I got that big dill plant out of there this morning too that I was seed saving on. That'll help. This center portion of the garden is for butternut squash, and it's a different variety this year because normally it's already to the top and beyond, and I'm wrapping it around with my normal South Anna variety. This is a honey nut variety, but it's from a seed developed by Cornell University to be more disease resistant, so I wanted to give that a try. It also has a smaller fruit on it, which is good for Al and I. We don't need the big ones. There's always a lot of leftovers when we do one. There are those cherry bronze snaps that are still doing well, and this is varieties that I've saved for years. Multiple colors, and the calendula. On the back side of this little circle are some Nantes carrots. Those were nibbled all the way to the ground multiple times by the rabbits before we got the rabbit defense properly put up. Here on the far side of the garden beds are two cucumbers. There is the punicura. These are kind of a, I don't know, pale limey, minty color, and then they go brown. That's not a bad spot, that's what happens. I like them light and not brown in flavor. To me, that's the best. On the right side is a variety called Little Leaf OG, and it is yet to give us a fruit to taste, so I don't know what it tastes like. And here you can see I created some more airflow, especially at the bottom of these tomatoes. There's the Resistimate pocketbook, the Castelluto Genovese. This is the Mr. Tartar's German. It seems to be really growing fast now. That's the one that is supposed to get huge. So I'm excited. And the Britain's Breakfast just has a ton in one big clump down there at the bottom. There's my Badger Flame beets. I'm quite proud of you little guys because you were dug up multiple times, and those of you who made it through the squirrel onslaught twice and are here to make me something delicious, I appreciate you. This is celery, and celeriac. The celeriac are really forming up some heads down in here now. Kind of hard to see. Well, it's almost time in this afternoon to do a harvest of the cucumbers. I wait every day until later in hopes that if I clip those cucumbers for the day late, the cucumber beetle won't be about and I can miss that onslaught. These are the crystal apple. I don't have many that are big right now. They kind of go in cycles, but the Socrates, I am just here to tell you, you want this cucumber in your life. I was a little skeptical because it's like $1 a piece for the seeds, but trust me, you want this in your life. It is an amazing producer. Amazing. Look at the foliage on that. Just going nuts. It's just taken on into the fencing for the bunny. And I'm picking like 8 cucumbers literally a day right now. I've got beets here. These are the Chioggia. We love those. That's the last of the stuff planted in the spring. This month we planted fennel here. They said if you plant it after the solstice, you'll have a better luck with it not bolting, which has been a problem for me. Bolero carrots, and they are really tasty. It's an F1 variety. All kinds of bunching onions. The little bunches that are across the front here are the Tokyo long. And the red Florence onions, which I usually pull as spring onions, I just let go because I had so many going I could, and I am going to get really nice little head onions from the last of those. Here's my Ilsa Craig. Not the same story as last year where I had those monster onions. It was tough to germinate, but it was old seed. But they're coming and I'll get a taste of. So here's the story of the garlics. This is for my collab with the other YouTube channels. And I have them planted out in a bunch. And I have been afraid to separate and plant them out as I normally would because of the heat. I don't want to lose them. So for now, they're going to stay in this clump. And I just saw an advertisement that Row 7 has expanded selling this now in the Whole Food grocery store market on both coasts. So you can buy them as a veg at Whole Foods. I can't here in the Chicagoland area, but if you live on one of the coasts, you can. And that ahi mango that I showed you last week is now beginning to turn. I need your help on these dragon tongue bush beans because they're supposed to be bush beans and yet they're putting out some vines. Is that what they do? They put up a little bit of a vine so they're sort of a semi-runner? I can't find any information on this. It's the first time I've done them. Please drop me a comment if you know about them. Behind that are the amethyst bush beans and the cucumbers from the other side. Leeks, and this is some radicchio. I'm letting those lettuce go to seed, and more celery, parsley, my Tim's Taste of Paradise, and my Lucid Gem. And I need to clip back that basil, and I need to fill the hole where the shallots came out pronto. So I'm standing up next to the white fence, and this gives you another perspective of the main part of the growing space from a different angle. And let's just stop for a moment and appreciate the Tardiva. She's a beauty. Now this pot has never really come to much. It's finally blooming, but it's interesting how it just didn't come into it. This is a different variety combination of dill that I tried, and I gotta tell ya, I'll stick with my dill Ducat because this one bolted fast and it doesn't have as many leaves, which is what we like to eat. There's some parsley in front of that. This is the golden hour, and it's grown like crazy in the last 2 days. These are some Cracker Jack marigolds. I need to do some deadheading, it looks like. And here's the first tomatoes to really show signs of major blushing. And that's just since that last video. So we definitely have to get these covered and protected because the squirrels will start going for it. There's that mammoth basil in the back and more carrots and some begonias. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, you might also like this episode. I'm off while it's cool this evening to net bag some of those tomatoes so the squirrels don't get them. So the next time you see my garden, there'll be little white bags all over the place. But that's what we have to do to enjoy things and keep them safe from the squirrels. Remember, sometimes the only thing we harvest is knowledge, and that's okay. Bye for now. We'll see you on the next one.